Hello everybody and welcome to, I guess, a battle report that's been quite a while in the making for many reasons. This is our next game set in the First Crusade, but it is our first game in the campaign that we're going to play. Now, I think I might have mentioned this once or twice in the updates that we planned on doing a narrative campaign, but Robin and myself have come up with a sort of a light campaign system to play to give us some strategic choices and consequences to our actions. It is map based, but I'm going to roll through all of that in a second. So yeah, what we thought we'd do before we actually get into today's battle report, we will run through how the campaign is going to work, who our commanders are, where our forces are going, and then show you what's going on. If you want to skip this, then there'll be a timestamp in the chapters down below, and you can just go straight to the game if you have no interest in how the campaign's going to work. But if you want to see how this is going to work, the army lists that we're using, then stick around and we'll go through that. All of this will be available on, the army list will be available on Google Drive to start with, and then the campaign rules will pop up as well. We might wait just in case as we play them it turns out they're completely broken, and we'll just see how things go. So here we are, here is our campaign. So as you can see, we are starting our First Crusade around about the time of the siege of Nicea, which took place in May 1097. So the Crusaders, let's use these nice red tokens, which we'll come into it later. The Crusaders have left Constantinople, which is up here. They don't go across this way, they come around the bottom and they come all this way to here, and they lay siege to Nicea, which is owned by Arslan. The city was able to hold out for a while because it was being supplied through Lake Ascanius, which is here. Eventually, in history, there was a bit of skullduggery that went on here between the Byzantines and the Seljuks that were defending, while the Crusaders were outside, and essentially the city surrendered. But that isn't before Arslan started to move his armies this way to try and defend his capital, because he left it alone, because he'd already annihilated the Peasants' Crusade, the People's Crusade, and he thought that this was just going to be another ragtag group of Crusaders, not essentially every second son born in Europe that was coming over. So the way our campaign is going to work, we each have generated 3 commanders. Now these are entirely fictional, they are smaller nobles, sub-commanders to the great leaders of the Crusade, and in this area that we're fighting at the moment, it's the Sultanate of Run and the Seljuk Sultanate of Run. So they are being sent out on missions, on sorties, and they may or may not encounter each other. Hopefully they will, because otherwise there won't be a battle report. So what we've done, using the army lists that are available for Hail Caesar, we have created a Seljuk army list for this era and a Crusader army list. Now, why haven't we just used the ones that are available? Because we like changing things.
You want the variation. If you're only using 4 or 5 force points, we want some variation. We want there to be variety in there. So the Crusader list is quite big, as you can see. It's certainly a lot bigger compared to the Wars of the Roses one, and that's because obviously we have very, very different troop types. In here you've got everything from heavy infantry, standard and small, crossbows, Norman knights with lances, skirmishing peasants, retainers, Breton knights, even Saracen mercenaries, and then this section here is set aside for Byzantine allies, but they're only available under specific circumstances that will become obvious as we play the campaign. As for the Seljuks, as you'd probably expect, the majority of their forces are cavalry based. However, they have got options in here for levy troops, and then support from mercenary troops from other parts of the area. Not as many troops as the Crusaders, but they've got a few tricks up their sleeves as well to keep things interesting. Now, the system that we're going to be using is Hail Caesar, so these stats and these campaigns have been written with that in mind. Now, as you know, if you watch the channel and you've watched other things that I do, not a big fan of outright points values.
So what we've got is a bit of an abstract system of force points, and essentially each of our leaders has a certain number of points available to him each game, which I know is no different to saying, it's a 2,000 point, 3,000 point game, but it's a little bit more general. Basically, it's broken down into half points, 1 points, and 2 points. That's basically it. After battles have been fought, they might lose points that are available to them in the next game, or they may gain them. But we'll roll through that in a minute. On the army list then, at the end of each of these, there's a column for force points, which is only related to our campaign here in our games. If you download the lists and you want to have a look at them, you want to use those, absolutely fine. But they're, that's just our way of breaking things up. So who's actually fighting in this campaign? Well, we've decided to create 3 characters each, and we've generated a little character creation system. All of our characters start out with a strategy rating of 8, with a combat modifier of +2, which is a fairly general statistic in Hail Caesar, and then we've added that they start with 5 force points, and at the very base level that means that they could take 5 standard units, more or less. We've then created a table for advantages for the Crusaders and Byzantines, and disadvantages for them, and then advantages for the Seljuks and disadvantages for the Seljuks. So for each character, they've rolled 1 advantage and they've rolled 1 disadvantage to just give them a little bit of flavour. So what I'll do, I'll run through the Seljuk ones that I've rolled up, and then we'll get Robin to go through his. So first of all, you can see here, we have Ahmet, who's a Seljuk with a strategy rating of 8 and a combat modifier of +2. Now, he started with 5 force points, but he's gone down to 4. Now, that will become obvious why in a second. For his advantage, I rolled a Servant of the Sultanate. Essentially, because he's a loyal servant, he got to designate 1 unit under his command as either drilled, stubborn, or tough fighters, but you had to decide then. So basically, if he take 1 unit of light cavalry under his command, can be designated as drilled. However, for his disadvantage, I've rolled empty lands. The character is not well regarded by others and finds it hard to recruit men, so he can't raise the quantity of troops that others can. So he suffers -1 force point. So he can only recruit 4 force points worth of troops. Next up, we have Alp Baradir, who has a strategy rating of 8, a combat modifier of +2, and 5 force points. And his advantage that we rolled was well-travelled. He's spent time on many campaigns in many far-flung lands and has built up a good knowledge of tactics and terrain. This character may use the general's reroll no matter the distance between them. So that's going to be handled. If this character is the general, then instead of that, he gets to shift 1 order roll by 1 degree up or down after it has been rolled once a game. So if he rolled a blunder, he rolled a 12, he could use that ability to shift it down to an 11, so it's just a failure. And then he was quite lucky. He rolled on a disadvantage table, and on a 6, when you're on for disadvantages, you don't suffer a disadvantage. So he's just he's good. He's reliable, I think, is hopefully going to be the thing for him. And the last one we have is Kamal ad-Din. He has a strategy rating of 8, a combat modifier of +2, and you'll see he's got 6 force points. And that's because his advantage I rolled was a man of wealth. His character has significant estates at home, which he has either sold or borrowed against to recruit men. So his force points go up by 1. So this guy can actually recruit more than anyone else on my side. However, for his disadvantage, I rolled that he's got a bit of an illness. So before each game, I roll a dice and then I consult this little chart, and it might be that he suffers nothing. He might be fine. Fate has been merciful and there's no ill effects, or he might suffer -1 strategy rating for that game, -1 combat modifier for that game, or both if he's really unlucky. So he's got a lot of people, but he's a bit sick. So shall we roll through Robin's? Okay, so Robin, who have we got first of all?
So we've got Hugh de Caprino. He's a Sicilian, or son of a Sicilian noble that's come over. Again, he, actually very similar to your last character, is also a man of wealth, or his father is.
Oh yeah, he's exactly the
same. So he's actually exactly the same, yeah. So he's got 6 force points. However, maybe it's rich living or something. He also suffers from bouts of illness. Yeah, it's gout or seasickness. And he can be afflicted during the game with an illness.
Yeah, they are exactly the same.
Yeah,
we've both got someone who can produce loads, but it's just a bit sick at the back. Yeah. Who's up next?
Then I've got William de Morbier, again another Norman. So he's also well travelled, but his disadvantage is his strong of arm but not mind. So the way I see it, he is popular with the troops and very much a man of the people, rather than maybe in the officers' tent at night. He's out gambling and drinking.
And that's reflected because he's got +1 combat modifier. So he's got a combat modifier of +3. So he's actually the most vicious person on in our campaign.
But he's not a tactical genius.
No, his command rating's only 7. But with that well-travelled ability, that means he can use the general's reroll at any distance. That should hopefully offset that.
And these are nicely narrative, because you could narrative that as, if you shift the orders, actually it's because the men he's with like him, maybe, or you can easily put a lot of narrative to these.
I feel like he's going to be in charge of cavalry. And then your last commander here.
So Robert de Boucheron, he is not popular.
He's disliked. Yes.
So he has to designate one of the units as freshly raised. So was it the first break test after the first casualty? Yeah,
they're not. They just essentially either he doesn't pay them or he's really harsh on people, so they go and find a different lord to serve in the crusade. He's got a bit of a bad rep.
However, he's also a friend of the prince's, so the units that he does have, one of them will be steady. So maybe there is personal bodyguard, and that's where the money goes rather than to the other troops, and that's why he's not so popular.
So he's going to have one sort of good unit and one naff unit.
Yep.
And that's it. So those are our characters for the game. And the way this is going to work, as you can see, we have our map. Now, this is map-based, but only in the sense of we're picking locations. So what's going to happen now? Basically, the way the campaign works, we've decided that there is a strategy turn, which is what we're about to go into. And this is where we decide where we're going to send our armies. This is then followed by a battle turn where we resolve the conflicts, which is what we'll get into today. And then there's a consolidation turn, which is what will happen once all the battles have been fought out. We see what happens before we move on to the next map. So think of this as sort of the scene for the next few battles. Once all those battles are resolved, we then move on to a new scene and a new map with new locations as the crusade moves on. So the locations for each of our battles are marked with these symbols that you can see here. We've got the kind of castle looking thing, the triangle and the diamond. Now we'll roll through what each of these are. Each of these scenarios give a benefit on the next map. So if we'll go over here and fight a battle and it will give you a benefit, and I'll roll through what those are. Essentially, the way this is going to work is we are going to write down on the bottom of these the which armies are going together and who is going to what location. And the way we're going to do that is this really high-tech way of we've put a red dot, a blue dot, and a yellow dot next to our commanders, and we will draw them on the back of these. We will then put all three face down, and then we will put them out, and then we will flip them over and see who is where. So it is possible to put all three armies, all three commanders at one location and have a battle, or you could spread out and put all three at different locations and have a thin presence there, or 2 and 1. We will do this in secret, and then we will flip these over and see who is where, and where there are conflicts, that's where there will be a battle. If an army is sent to a location and an enemy general isn't, you just take it. It's that simple, and you will get that benefit. So the question is, do you spread out and take everything, or do you put all your eggs in one basket and just really try for that thing you want? That does mean it's quite possible that there could be 3 armies facing off against 1 army, or 2 against 1. So it should be pretty cool. Once all the choices have been made, we'll flip them over. We're going to put all 3 of these down, so there might be some that are blank. So it'll be a bit of a fog of war. So let's have a look at the scenarios. Okay, so our first scenario up the top here is titled Relief. This is based, I won't roll through the exact sort of, how it's all set up and everything, but essentially one side is attacking a small outpost, and the outpost is occupied by a small allied NPC contingent from the defenders. So for the Crusaders, that's probably a Byzantine camp. For the Seljuks, that's probably just some outlying guards who are just sort of like posted near Nicea. What will happen is that's based on victory points, and if the victory benefit for that is in the next campaign phase on the new map, one army can receive the allied contingent valued up to 3 force points in the next battle. So if you imagine that if the Crusaders win that, in the next game, he's got a small Byzantine army to place, only in one on the next map though. This middle one here is a scout and hold, traditional sort of, 3 objectives on the battlefield. Let's fight over them. Whoever holds the most wins, and depending on how many they hold, that dictates the degree of success. And the victory benefit there is on the next strategy turn, the player who won that area may, at this point that all the tokens are down, ask where one specific enemy commander is. So, for example, if we've got them down like this, and I want to know where Hugh de Caprino is, I can say, where is he? And Robin has to say he is here. He doesn't have to reveal if he is with anyone else. So you might want to use that to know where a particularly crap enemy commander is posted, so you could go and attack, or where the best bloodthirsty one and all the troops are. So we know, for example, that one of Robin's has 6 force points. I'd like to know where all those troops are going to be stationed. So you can ask him, he has to reveal it. Finally, this one down here is a village. So this is a take the village scenario. One of us is determined to be the defender, and it's a traditional sort of take and hold situation in the village. The victory benefit here is when we come into the consolidation phase, which happens after all the battles are fought, whoever won that one can re-roll the effect on the consolidation table. And the consolidation table might be that you've managed to recruit a couple of guys, maybe nothing's happened, maybe someone's been struck down with disease or something else. Maybe they've discovered a spy in the enemy camp, but you get to re-roll that. So those are the 3 scenarios. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go away and we are going to decide where we're going to put our armies. We're going to mark it on our bases, and then we're going to come back to you. We'll put all these down and we will reveal who's fighting who. Okay, so we have selected our forces. So what we're going to do now is pop them on the map. So remember, the top one, we're fighting over an allied contingent being available in the next turn. This one is the ability to know where someone is stationed, and this one is benefits in the reconsolidation. So I've got mine sorted, so I'm going to put my 3 tokens out, which Robin doesn't know where it is. So here we go. Okay, so the forces are down. Let's show them. So for this one, which is fighting, well, it's basically, so in the reconsolidation phase, you get something. I sent 1. I sent out Baradir here. What did you do? Did you send anyone?
Yes, I sent the park. I figure having a village, a base to operate from, supplies would be.
So who have you sent there?
So that is William de Morbier and Robert de Boucheron.
So that's the idiot and the one who's not liked.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. What did you do for the middle? You can turn over first this time.
I didn't send anyone.
Oh, okay. Right. Neither did I. So there's no action going on there. And then up the top, then that means I've got my 2 armies here. That's Ahmet and Kamal ad-Din. So that's my small force and my big force.
So, yeah, and this is my large Sicilian.
Right, okay, and that's Hugh de Caprino. Okay, so we're fighting over these. So this campaign phase is going to be 2 battles. We'll do one of those today, and I think for ease of setup, we'll do the take the village scenario. So our first game, which we're going to play in a minute, will be take the village. We'll roll to see who's defending, although I imagine it's going to be me with one point. So that's the campaign phase over. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you've got any questions about the campaign or ideas, pop them down below. This is going to be quite an organic thing, so if things don't work, we are going to change them halfway through. As I say, these army lists, these will go up on the Google Drive, so check the link down below. Much like the Wars of the Roses one, you'll get a thing that sends me a request for access, and I'll just say yes, and you can download it. Once we've played through probably this phase of the campaign, all being well, we'll pop these up, and you can, if you want to do battles of your own, or do something similar, go for it. Anyway, let's get on then. So the First Crusade, May 1097, Battle 1, Take the Village. Okay, so here we are. We have set up for our first game in the First Crusade campaign. If you remember, it is a Take the Village scenario. So here is our village. We're quite proud of this. It took a while actually to a bit of a actual sort of town planning went on here, trying to work things out. So here it is. I am defending as the weaker player here, and Robin is going to be attacking with his Crusaders. So basically the way this has worked, we've got the village set up in the middle, and there are 3 objectives here. You can see the well, we have those crates there and these crates here. Those are the objectives. Basically, those are what everyone is going to be going for. They are worth 3 points to Robin if he can destroy them, and 3 points to me at the end of the game if they are still here. It's a 6-turn game, rolling for a 7th as we normally do. The way that they are destroyed is Robin just needs to have a unit in contact with them at the start of his turn, or more units in contact with them at the start of his turn than me. Now, being in contact isn't really a thing here because if you've watched our Wars of the Roses games, you know we like to split things into zones. If you haven't watched those, I'll go through what that means. So essentially, this area here, denoted by these doors, that's one zone. This is a zone here. This is a zone here. And this field is a zone. And basically, it just is a way of breaking down movement. So a unit can move from zone to zone. So this unit can move, these guys can basically move between zones, but the only way to access this is here. So it's one order would put them into that zone, one order would put them into that zone. Each of these areas can hold 2 units, but we'll go through the deployment in a minute. So essentially, if Robin's got a unit in one of these zones and one of mine isn't, at the start of his next turn, he has destroyed that. So for this one, he's looking to poison the well and take those supplies for himself. Over here, we have the field. Now that can hold 2 units, and it's just a case of moving in and moving out. Units that are within zones always count as obscured, hard to hit, -1 to hit. And then ones that are within this, within the village, they get the cover modifier to their saves. Outside of the village, we've got this Robin's. We have to use it because he did make this in an hour or whatever it was the last time we played a game of this. We have the Seljuk camp. That's over there. No special rules, but just a bit of cover, and it essentially will just give you light cover. We have a couple of woods on here, one there, and one there, with some raised ground. And then some nice open areas for cavalry to get involved. So as you can see, I have already deployed my forces. And here is my commander in the village. This is Alp Baradir. This is my Seljuk commander. Now this is the one, if you watch the campaign preamble, he has no bad things have happened to him. He's just a good, reliable, well-traveled general. And his ability is that when he is the general of the army, once per game, he can shift one of his command rolls by 1 degree. So remember, as an army general, he will get a reroll once in the game, but also he can basically, if I rolled, for example, an 11, he can make it a 10, or if he rolled an 8, I can make it a 7, or vice versa. So he's there in the center, and he is commanding. My army, he has 5 force points to use. Now, the way that the Seljuk list works, that we put it together, there is a core section. 75% of the army has to come from the core section, and 50% of that 75% has to be cavalry. So here we are. Down here we have a load of light cavalry. I have 2 standard units of light cavalry and a small unit of light cavalry. They're all in open order. Then my other core choice is over here. We just have some Turk levy. So they're in there defending. Those are the people who actually live in the village, or the local militia. They've been called up to fight. However, Alp Baradir has got hold of some mercenaries. So over here we have some Saracen mercenary heavy infantry. They have no special rules other than the fact that they're really hard. So they're in the village defending. And over here, I took some light infantry armed with bows and upgraded them to crossbows for free. So that is my 5 force points that we've used. And depending on how well this goes, he might lose some troops, he might get some back. Robin is attacking with 2 divisions. What are the names of the guys you're attacking with?
So we've got Robert de Boucheron over here. So he's got 5 force points, but one of his units I do need to designate still as freshly raised.
Oh yes, that's the chap that no one likes.
And obviously, but he'll at the same point to balance out, he's also got a steady unit.
Yeah.
That will carry on through the campaign. And then over here we've got William de Morbier with again 5 points, and his special rules are more about combat. That don't really affect any of the troops.
It's Tim Nice but dim.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So this is the guy who is the killer, isn't he? He's the best. He's got the highest combat value in our campaign. So this is where his troops are going to be coming on. It's a 6-turn game, rolling for a 7th. The victory points are very simple. As I said, Robin gets 3 victory points for each of these that he destroys. I get 3 victory points for each one that is at the end of the game. This one over here is just there as window dressing. It's this one here he's got to worry about, this one here, and the well. Also, we're doing our standard point of 1 victory point for each shaken unit and 2 victory points for each unit destroyed. Because if you wipe out the enemy then, but didn't get the objectives, you still win. So it is good to have that. The attackers have the first turn in this scenario. So we will head straight into that. So here we go. First Crusade, Battle 1, campaign. Let's get started. Okay, so a very, very eventful Norman command phase. Robin?
So Robert de Bouchon brought a freshly raised unit on.
They're looking very lonely.
And then failed his next roll, used a general's reroll, failed that. So that's all that's come on with him. And then William de Morbier just failed his roll.
So I just think of it this way: it's like they're the canary. They'll be sent forward.
It's a probing attack because they can't see what's at the back of the village. Probably.
What, you mean all this?
All the cavalry.
Okay, so they don't have any range weapons, do they?
No.
So that's your turn.
That's my turn.
That's your turn. Okay. I mean, the thing is, though, you could say, because I'm actually quite tempted to go out there now.
I'm drawing you out.
You're drawing me out. I mean, it might work. We'll have to see. All right, then. Let's go into the Seljuk turn 1. Okay, so I managed to get quite a few things moving, and I decided to not take the bait and rush my heavy infantry out to fight that unit. I'm going to shoot them with crossbows instead. However, what I did do was I've moved one of my standard units of light cavalry in open order around my left flank, around that side of the village, and I have moved the other unit of light cavalry round on my right flank. They got 3 moves off, and remember, when they're in open order, they don't have... Well, they basically have one continuous frontage, so it's just easier for them to move. And also, I've kept my small unit of light cavalry at the back, and just to see what happens. I mean, you don't want to leave it too long before moving them and committing them, but they've got such a big move. And with his ability of being able to, first of all, re-roll because he's the army general, and then adjust that if he needs to, I'm pretty confident I'll be able to get them into combat. So all it is then is I'm going to shoot, and it's going to be my crossbows down the front are going to be firing at your... Now, they're heavy infantry, aren't they?
Yeah.
But they're freshly raised. Freshly raised is only comes in when they go into combat. So let's have a look. My unit is going to have 2 dice. Okay, so 2 dice, they're crossbows, so if I do hit, it caps his save 5+. However, he is stubborn. I'm -1 to hit because it's formed shielded heavy infantry walking towards me in their front quarter. So 5s to hit. 1 hit. You need a single save of 5.
Which I can re-roll with stubborn.
Re-roll because you have stubborn.
No.
First blood.
We did 100% of my units.
There we go. It's a good total. That is it. They can't shoot. I mean, your commanders, I'm not going to shoot at. I can't do that anyway. So that is the end of my turn. So it's over into the Crusader turn 2. Right, so some things did happen. It's a bit more of dribs and drabs. Clearly, the Crusade is they're a bit reluctant. They're all mouth. What happened, Robin?
So they initiative charged.
Yeah.
for better or worse. But I guess we'll find out how good they are in a minute.
Yeah, that's it. So they roll at the start. So you remember, even though the unit's here, they count as occupying the whole thing. So yes, I've just moved them in. So you can see them there. So my heavy infantry are going to be fighting his freshly raised unit.
I then tried to bring on some crossbows.
As you can see.
Blundered. And when we applied the blunder, obviously they couldn't already flee, so they weren't on the table, but we did apply the casualties. So when they do come on, if they come on...
He rolled the uncontrollable flight.
They will have one casualty on them already. So that wasn't ideal.
So remember, we've still got the new, well, I say they're new, but the orders from the general, like follow me and the other stuff on top of rally. So if you want to get people moving, well, I guess they have to be on the board.
Yeah, that's the thing. We need to actually get there. And then over here, managed to bring on just a standard unit of infantry to try and face down these cavalry. And I know what's going to happen there. I'm going to chase them across the table, but slowly being shot. And then some light infantry with bows. Yeah. Try and support them a little bit, maybe take a crossbow, because I can soften up the middle while you're riding around outside. If something comes on the table, I might have a chance.
Absolutely. So, shooting phase, you've got light infantry over there with bows. So you're going to have 3 dice. You're shooting at the crossbows, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're within 12. But I am in cover, so it's -1 to hit me. So you're going to be hitting on 5s. Okay, so you're looking for 5s to hit. Oh, I'm going to have to take a break test at the end of this. Oh no, my guys are light infantry. So they have a save of 6 normally. However, they're in cover, so it's a save of 5. Hey.
You do still have to take them.
I do still, at the end of the, well, that's now, isn't it?
That'll be
okay, so we've got to take a break test. So 2d6 straight. Yeah. 10, they're absolutely fine. No worries. They pick their teeth with the arrows. Right. So now we are into hand-to-hand combat. So we've got to do the freshly raised result. 1 second, let's get the chart. Okay, so we've got to look on the freshly raised chart. So Robin rolls a d6 before the combat, and we find out how this unit actually are acting. So go on. Oh, that's
they're inspired.
That's it. They're inspired. So let's just check that out. The unit fights with unexpected fervour. The unit gains an extra bonus attack this round, so you get 1 more dice. Okay, so you normally get 7 dice as heavy infantry. You have got 8 dice for this, and you are attacking. You charge, so you're +1. So I think you're hitting on 3s. No, that's it. Yeah, I just get a cover bonus because I'm fighting, defending. So, so you're hitting on 3s. I have 7 dice for my heavy infantry, hitting on 4s. All but 1.
They are inspired.
So they are inspired. That's 7. All right, I'm hitting on 4s. 5. Okay, you need 5 saves of 4.
I can reroll 1 for stubborn.
Yes, because you haven't used it this turn. That was last turn.
Yeah.
So 2 casualties.
Oh, yeah.
And I need 7 saves of 3. 4 normally, +1 for the cover. 3 casualties. Okay, so Robin did 3 casualties, I did 2, so I lost the combat by 1, so I am 2d6 -1 for the break test. See, this might be me and my big mouth. They're fine. They're fine. All right, they're fine. So that will go on to the next round. So we've got to remember that Robin won the combat because next round he will be +1 to hit because of that. Or maybe I need to feed in a unit to support them. That's the end of the Crusader turn. So we are getting through them. Remember, it's a 6-turn game, so we are into Seljuk turn 2. I think I know. Well, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Okay, so a decent turn. I managed to move the levy in to support my mercenaries into combat here, because I want to try and push them out the town. I've kept these guys where they are so I can put some fire into the crossbows, because remember they are they're light infantry and I've got crossbows, so Hopefully that will see them off. Over here, I just shuffled these a little bit with an initiative order, and they'll be shooting. Tried to move these guys around to support them. That didn't work. Over here on my left flank, in preparation for troops appearing over that hill, hopefully, I've moved my light cavalry around to start giving some fire. So let's have a look at the Seljuk shooting. I think we'll start with the crossbows. Yep. Crossbows are going to fire at your crossbows. We'll say they are obscured because there's half the wood in the way. By the way, this we should have said before, lonely little trees on their own, they don't count. We just put those on here as sort of window dressing. Essentially, it's when you have groups of trees that they're actually, count as obscuring and cover. So I have 2 dice and I am hitting on 5s. That's 1 hit and a break test, potentially at the end of a turn. So you're saving on a 6. Well, you saved it, but they're going to be taking a break test at the end of the phase. Next up, we have the horse archers here. They are going to fire at your unit. Horse archers, I'm assuming they don't suffer anything, do they? I just fire at you as standard. That's it. So it's just 3 dice hitting on 4s.
Yeah.
I haven't got any rules.
Oh, I'm heavy infantry.
Oh, you are heavy infantry, so hitting on 5s.
I'm shield infantry.
That's it, so hitting on 5s. 2 hits and a break test as well. At the end of turn, so 2 saves of 4. And a break test. Okay, so that is all my shooting, because my unit over there, because you can't just shoot at a commander. So break test, yep. So which one do you want to do first?
Light infantry.
Light infantry first, so just straight up. Oh no, 3.
They're not shaken, are they?
No, but I think that's low enough that something might happen. 3 for infantry, break if shaken, otherwise retreat disordered. So they're going back 6 inches and they're disordered. Oh, you didn't need that.
1 arrow seems off.
1 arrow, just that guy at the front. I like it, they're nearly back to the commander. They are now disordered. Just make them, wavy. And then it's these guys. What are these guys? So this is just straight up as well?
You need to roll better than a 2.
A 5 is hold your ground disordered or retreat in good order.
I will retreat in good order.
Okay. That surprises me. Excellent. Right, so it's just the combat. Now, are you going to do the thing that we talked about?
I'm going to close ranks?
It's close ranks, which we've never really used before. So at the start of combat, you can close ranks. It gives you -1 to hit, but +1 to your save. Because Robin has 7 attacks because he's heavy infantry. He won the last round of combat that were given him +1, but he's crunched the numbers, as Robin likes to do, and he's going to take the -1 for closing ranks. So he's hitting on 4s. So he has 7 attacks hitting on 4s, but he gets a bonus to his save. I have 7 attacks as standard, with no modifier to my hit. However, I've got 3 bonus attacks for the supporting Turk levy in there, so I might as well just roll them all together. There's no difference in there. I haven't got any rules. And I get +1 to my save as well. So I have 10 attacks hitting on 4s. You have 7 attacks hitting on 4s.
7 hits?
7, yes. 7 hits. 5. So I need 5 saves of 3. Oh dearie me.
Oh dear.
Oh god. 4 dead. And you need 7 saves of 3.
I can re-roll 1 for stubborn.
That's probably good. 3 dead. So I lost the combat anyway. Yeah, let's have a little look at what's happened. Okay, so as you can see, the casualties are mounted out. Both the units at the front are shaken. Robin beat me by 1, so it's 2d6 -1 to my break test. After I've taken my break test, my excess casualty has to go onto my supporting unit, which isn't great. So let's have a look. 2d6 -1. 8, they're fine. They're fine, but that casualty does go on and affect the others. There we go. Right, so that got brutal very, very fast. So both our units are shaken, so they're going to be suffering -1s. I won the combat, so that's going to be... No, you won the combat, so you're +1, -1, whatever, because you're in closed ranks. I assume, you're not automatically closed?
Yeah, you have to declare it at the start of each combat round, I think.
Right, okay, so you're probably not going to do that again, are you? You'll be at mine... Well, you would... But then you're at additional minuses. We'll see. We'll see what's going on. Right, anyway, there we go. That is the end of the second Seljuk turn. We'll go into the third Crusader go. Okay, so I'd say that was a successful phase for you.
We have an equal number of units now. That's a plus.
And you
still actually meant to be outnumbering you.
You are. So here we go. What happened?
Over here, why don't I get his name right? Robert the Boucheron. All his division are now on. Hang
on, this is the guy who... What's his thing?
So he's got...
he's just... He everyone hates him, but the princes like him.
Yeah, so he's got a steady unit, and they're also... That's a fully upgraded heavy infantry unit. They are good. They only came on the one, though. My crossbows have come back on, slightly bedraggled after... Running away, tripping over them. And my heavy cavalry it's a difficult one because I don't want to drive them off if I want to shoot them, and I need to do some damage in the first one. So I'm going to
have to deal with some crossbows and then some heavy cavalry.
That's the idea.
Right.
And then over here in William de Morbier's division, nothing extra came on, but I did manage to move my units back, which is why I'm glad I didn't take the disorder. So I just moved up, got my shooting units back.
Okay, so basically everything's developing over here. Yeah. Remember, Robin's trying to get these objectives, so me having a shaken unit there isn't great. I need to hopefully see him off. So it's shooting. Who do you want to start with?
I'll start with just the bows.
Okay, so your 5s to hit, and I'm saving on 5s, yeah. No, they don't have marksmen. No, it's not like the Wars of the Rose. No Sunday practice every weekend in the butts here. Crossbows.
We're under 12 still.
They're under 12, but you're shooting at troops in open order, so you're -1. So you're hitting on 5s. One hit, and I believe I have a save of 6.
Yeah, I think crossbows aren't really...
Yeah, it's a save of 6. No, 1 casualty. Just the combat then. Yeah. So let's just work this out before we do anything. So you won the combat, so that gives you +1. So you've got 7 attacks at +1. Yeah. However, you're shaken, so that's -1. Yeah. So you are hitting on 4s. I have 10 attacks, 7 of which are hitting on 5s because I'm shaken, 3 of which are hitting on 4s because the supporting unit isn't shaken. Do you wish to close ranks or anything like that? Because you're currently hitting on 4s. If you close ranks, you'll hit on 5s.
I'm tempted to try and stay and hold it up, but no, I'm just going to... I think trying to do more damage to that unit is more important.
Yeah, I'm saying they've taken a bit more damage than I'd like. So you have 7 attacks hitting on 4s. -1 for shaken, +1 for winning the combat.
Yeah.
3. So I have 7 hitting on 5s. That's 1, and then I have 3 hitting on 4s. 2. So you need 3 saves of 4, and you're stubborn. You took 1, and I need 3 saves of 3. 1 as well. But now, because we're both shaken, we're both taking break tests.
Yeah.
Okay, right. And then that bloody casualty is going on to my supporting unit. Okay, so go on then. Robin, you kick things off. 2d6. 3. Hang on, I believe...
I've rolled that enough.
You know, but I just want to check. I just like to check. Break if shaken. So your unit... Well, you did well, considering the what happened initially. The freshers, so they are gone. They have broken. My unit here. Here we go. 5. 5 for infantry is give ground with disordered together with supports.
So you all go back into the next.
Yeah,
you can choose that zone.
Oh, is that zone? So they're all gonna put. Well, I'm gonna pull back into this zone here. Then that is going on to them. That kind of makes sense. Although it does mean that that area is now.
It's your turn next, though.
Undefended, yeah. But I quite like that. That's thematically. That's
It's a shame I couldn't have brought them up to be able to take advantage.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But
there we go. Right. We'll just get this tidied up. But there's the state of the board. There's a lot of damage happened over there. That's the end of the Crusaders turn 3. It's now the Seljuk turn 3, and I think I'm going to be doing some rallying. Okay, so a few things have happened here. Over here, this unit just stayed, but I wanted my small unit. As you can see, they've appeared over there. They've ridden round and they're able to give fire. Now, I initially only got 2 moves off with the order. I rolled a 6, and with his command rating being 8, that meant 2 moves. However, if you recall, his ability allowed him once per game to basically change a dice by 1 degree, and I think he's chosen this now as his time, so he changed that to a 5, so they got 3 moves off. So I've got this line of horse archers that are going to pepper this unit over here. Crossbows to stay where they are, putting up a stout defense. Now, over here, my general has joined this unit at the end of his orders phase, and he rallied a casualty off of them, so they're no longer shaken. They are still disordered, which will come off at the end of a turn. These guys are disordered. That won't come off automatically at the end of the turn because they are levy, so they only come off them at a 4+. Up on the hill over here, this unit of light cavalry have just used an initiative move to pull back a little bit. I just didn't like being so close to that heavy cavalry that has appeared. So here we go. We're about halfway through the game, and we're holding out so far, but it's going to be a crucial couple of turns. So we'll start with shooting. I'm going to start with the crossbows. Now, because the bows are obscured, I don't have to shoot at them. So I'd like to shoot at the heavy unit. Am I within 12 from the centre of my unit? No. So I'm going to be -1, -2 because it is they're heavy. Maybe I should just shoot at your bows.
It's only -1.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to shoot at your bows. I'm going to rely on your bad luck that they're not going to move. So I need 5s to hit. I'm going to go for the bows. That was pointless. Up on the hill, up here, these are going to fire at the heavy cavalry.
Yeah, within 12.
So we're in 12, so it's just 4s to hit. 1 hit, and I think it's a single save of 4.
Yeah.
Are they stubborn?
No, I didn't upgrade them. They're just as they are. They're fine.
They're fine. Right, let's do this over here then. So we'll start with the large unit. So they get 3 dice hitting on 4s. 3 dice hitting on 4s. 1 hit. No, 1.
You would have been hit on 5.
I would have been hitting on 5s, but I rolled a 5.
I think you rolled a 5 anyway.
Yeah, so 1 dead.
Yeah.
Okay, and then 2 dice hitting on 4s for the small unit. 5s, sorry. That's another hit. Another casualty. Okay, I was hoping to sow a little bit of disorder among you there. So, so it's the end of a turn. These guys are no longer disordered, so I'm just going to put them back into ranks, and I need to roll for my levy. So 4, 5, or 6, they're not disordered. They are still disordered until the end of my next turn. That's not great. Right then, Robin, it's your go, mate. Yeah, Crusader turn 4. Right then, Robin, quite a lot's happened. Oh, you can move him if you need to. Go on. There he is. So, what happened?
Started here, didn't I? Because I wanted to try and take this ground, make the most of it, and actually
get
anything. But I only rolled the 1 move, and then had a little debate about whether or not I wanted to use the general's reroll, because that's the scenario. But if I then fail to move everything, that'd be annoying.
I mean, that's it. I mean, this is turn 4. You've got 2 turns, maybe 3, to get in here and take this. I mean, I am a bit beleaguered, and I've got quite a lot of stuff that's coming over the hill, as it were.
However,
but over here,
I did manage a dashing charge with my heavy cavalry.
Yes.
And for once managed to catch your
Yep.
Light cavalry. Because they wanted to get close enough to shoot, didn't they?
They did.
I rolled low enough, and then
I rolled not high enough.
Not high enough, and I managed to catch
to wipe me out.
It's just brutal, isn't it? You just get caught and.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. The heavy cavalry can't enter built-up areas. Well, no cavalry can. The thing is, they're now just patrolling around. I've lost my left flank, really. And then speaking of the right flank, Robin's kind of created a bit of a wall.
Yeah. I know from trying to charge them, it just caused me to annoy. So I'm just trying to put enough there that you can't come round and start flanking me, and then I'll just manage to bring on a double-handed unit, just the one move there. Because I need to get. Whilst it's great chasing cavalry off because they're annoying, I need to actually get.
Your mission is to get in here. So even though we're racking up victory points, I remember at the end of the game I will get 3 victory points
so
at each of these.
You're starting on 9.
I mean, essentially, and your job is to take them off of me. So we have some bowmen here that have moved through, and then Robin's bought this little hit unit at the back because he's upgraded them with double-handed.
Yeah, that'd have been really nice earlier on to fight over the cover, but nothing came on early on.
So shooting,
just gonna be
yes, because your other unit's facing the wrong way. Yeah. So your bowmen are shooting at mine. Mine count as no, because I'm obscure because I'm in cover.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's just still counting.
Yeah, so it's just that you've lost. It's not cumulative. Yeah. So so it's just -1. So 5s. Oh, and a break test. So a save of 5 and no. So taking a casualty. And I need to take... You haven't got any other shooting, have you?
Nope.
Okay, so I need to take a break test. 8, they're absolutely fine. Is that it?
Well, we already did the combat.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, there was no combat, was it? You just ran me. Okay, so there we go. Right. And I think this is the small game, really, for in our camp. Well, one of the smaller games. So we will go into Seljuk turn 4. Okay, so basically on my side, nothing moved. Over here, I wanted my cavalry to kind of ride around here so they could start shooting these guys in the back. They failed. I failed the reroll. All that happened was I didn't want my guy to be caught in this unit because he couldn't rally them because everything else had failed. He jumped out of that unit. So all I've got is some shooting. So let's do the crossbows first. They are going to fire into... I'm going to fire at the heavy unit. Oh, no, are they closer? Centre of this unit. No, it'd be this one. It's centre of this unit to that unit.
Oh, to centre, yes.
Yeah, so there we go. So 2 dice. I'm hitting on 4s.
Yeah.
2 hits and a break test.
I'm only saving on 6s anyway, aren't I?
Yes. So 2 casualties. Well, you do the break test. And, it will do those at the end, don't we? Over here. My unit 3, so they're just going to carry on shooting at the front, so they're hitting on 4s. 3 dice hitting on 4s. 5s. Keep on saying they're on 5s. 3 dice on 5s. 1 hit and a break test. Saved it, but having a break test, and then over here they're going to shoot at them as well, so hitting on 5s as well. 2 hits. 2 saves of 4. Saved, but break test. So, do you want to do your break test for the lights? Oh, 5. I think they're going to be... it's hold your ground disordered or retreat in good order.
I think I'll just stay where I am disordered.
Yeah, because I was going to say, at least you can still do something.
Yeah.
And then these guys, it's just, come on, double 1.
No,
fine, they're not going anywhere. It's just an impenetrable wall of shields.
There's no combat.
There's no combat, so that's it. All I've got to do is just try and undisorder my levy. So 4 up, and they undisorder. No, they're still disordered. They didn't like it. Okay, so that's the end of my turn. I feel like we've had like the big combat, and now it's just mopping up. So it's Crusader turn 5. Okay, so fairly eventful. Yeah. You got what you wanted to occurred. So what was that?
So managed to get my best infantry unit into there, touching one of the objectives.
I should say this is his best infantry unit because it's usually, but normally they're tough fighters, aren't they? Or,
stubborn.
No, they're stubborn. So it's heavy infantry unit who are stubborn. But you can make one unit in your army stubborn.
It's a tough fighters.
And
it's tough fighter and elite.
And elite, yeah.
And also they are steady because of the.
Because they're all, so they are just they're the crack unit. So they are in. So remember, Robin needs to be basically in sole command of that. You will still be in command of that as long as you're not in combat. So if we fight a combat and you see me off, then you will you'll win and you'll destroy that. If he's still in there with not in combat and I haven't taken it, then that objective is destroyed. Next turn. So what happened then? You've got these.
So the double handers come there because my disordered unit are in the way. So I was hoping they'd be able to get in so they could then start moving around the zones, but no, and unfortunately they're now blocking the way to shoot my crossbows. So all I'm going to be doing is shooting my disordered bow. Oh, and I attempted to charge over here, but just
you tried to charge cavalry, but they just didn't want to do it.
It wouldn't have done much anyway. It would have more,
to be fair, they're doing a good job of blocking me off over there. So, all right. So what are you?
Just that.
Is it just that? Yes, it is.
That's the shooting I've got. So just that.
Just that again. Sixes. Okay, go on then. No.
I mean, if I can drive you out there, that'd be
2 saves of 5. Both saved.
But you got to take.
But I've got to take a break test. They're fine. They're staying. That crossbow unit is hunkering down. You see, these are more like mercenaries, and they're staying put. So yeah, that's it. Wow. Okay. Right. So Seljuk turn 5. Okay, so the only thing that's happened is my unit here has charged and engaged in with the unit of Doom. I'm probably going to lose them, but just to explain what's going on, technically they didn't have to because they're in this zone, they could just fight. However, we felt we need to make the distinction because these guys are disordered, and the rules are actually if a disordered unit cannot move to support someone, but if it's already in a combat, it can. And as these guys had moved in, they weren't particularly engaged. And because we're doing this for narrative and for thematically, it didn't make sense to us. So they cannot support, and we're saying until they are not disordered, unless they are directly engaged.
Yeah, because we haven't got the movement.
Yeah.
Because we've got the spaces.
Exactly. So these guys have charged there. I tried to get my cavalry moving again, and they just didn't want to do it. Crossbows are going to carry on doing their bang-up job over there. Oh, your unit undisordered at the end of the turn. So it's just into shooting, and my crossbows are going to shoot at that unit again. Okay, so they're hitting on 4s. Yep. 2 hits, just 2 saves.
Nice. That is
2 dead. Then over here, so I've got to just try and carry on pouring the fire in. So 3 dice hitting on 5s. I think I remembered this time. 1 hit, 1 save of 4. Yeah, and then 2 dice hitting on 5s. 1 save of 4 again.
I'm stubborn.
You are, but that's another casualty. Okay, so it's the combat. So now, I want my dice out first before your hundreds of bonuses. So I have 7 attacks because I'm heavy infantry, and I charged, so I'm at +1. So I am hitting on 3s. Robin, you have 7 attacks, and what are your rules again? What have they actually got?
So stubborn.
So they get to re-roll a failed save. Yep.
Steady, which only affects break.
Break test from shooting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Based on him, and then because I'm upgrading, they're tough fighters and elite.
So you get to re-roll a dice, and then it's the disorder thing. Yeah. Okay, so you've got 7 dice re-rolling 1. I've got 7 dice hitting on 3s. So you're hitting on 4s. I'm hitting on 3s.
Yes.
All right. So hitting on 3s for me. 4 hits. You're hitting on 4s. You get to re-roll 1 for tough fighters.
6 hits.
6 hits. So you've got, now you're defending, so you get 4 saves of 3. And you're stubborn. Doesn't matter. Didn't even need it. And I needed 5 saves, was it?
Yeah.
5 saves of 4. I am also heavy infantry.
Ooh.
Okay, so it's just the 1 casualty, so that's not awful. I did lose by 1, so I'm taking a break test -1. Actually, I'm going to say this now because I'm going to tempt fate. That went a little bit better than I thought it was going to. So let's have a look. 7, 8 -1 is 7 in combat. They're absolutely fine, so they stand. But I am shaken for the next turn, and you get +1 to hit in the next combat because you won the combat. That is the end of my turn 5. So we're going into Crusader turn 6. This could be the last Crusader turn. So
I think this is the last Crusade.
This could be the last. Well, no, I think there's at least 7 more, and then there's the Northern Crusades as well. Robin. This is Robin's last turn. So what he wants to do is get in there, and I think what he really needs to do is push out those crossbowmen, and then hope he rolls for a turn 7. So let's get into it. Okay, so quite a lot happened, Robin. You started with this division.
I did. So I managed to get my double-handed swinging chaps.
They changed target, didn't they?
Yeah.
You got a really hard. You got 3 orders off essentially, and you've charged my crossbowmen, who failed to kill anyone with their closing shots. Did force a break test, but you passed it.
Yeah, and managed to just bring the light infantry in support. Over on that flank.
Oh yeah, all sorts of shenanigans went on here.
I didn't expect massive success because obviously me catching you is very unlikely, but I have managed to drive you backwards. You're not in a line.
So Robin charged these guys who fled, but he got an amazing charge off. So he's come this far, but he missed these guys. But then he charged these guys who fled, but can't flee any further because of the woods and because of that. We're not fleeing, evading, but this is as far as he made it. So they've stopped. It seems to us that it makes sense to us that they stopped there. Yeah. So no combat. But things have gone a bit wrong for the Seljuks over there. So it is shooting, but there isn't any because your crossbow, they're in combat and they're in combat. Yeah. So that's it. So combat, which one do you want to start with? The ongoing one or the fresh one?
Let's go here.
Okay, so let's have a look. So you've got a small unit of these guys. So they have 5 attacks, and then what's the double-handed weapons? I can't remember what that does.
I feel like they're only in
it's like crossbows.
Oh,
so you cap at 5, but that's good. I mean, if you get in with yours, so
it doesn't actually make a difference in that case.
So you have 5 attacks from them, but don't you have 3 attacks from the light infantry?
Yes, but they won't.
They won't get the charge point.
No, it also won't cap your saves. But your saves only.
My saves only be 5 anyway.
So
you've got 5 attacks hitting on 3s. So if you do those first, 4, and then you've got 3 attacks hitting on 4s.
Oh.
None. So you got 4 hits. Now my incredibly squishy unit has 2 attacks.
Okay, sure.
So 2 attacks hitting on 4s. So 1. So you need a single save here of 4. Yeah, and I need, what was it? 4 saves of 5. Oh, 2. So, well, I have lost combat. So I have lost by 2. So I'm rolling my break test, 2d6 minus 2.
They're not shaken, are they?
They're not shaken.
A 2 is gone no matter what.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they break. So, no, I didn't want that to happen. So, they're going to break. They can hold out just long enough. And now you can consolidate and you can move in, which means you own that area. So, you really, really need to roll for a turn 7.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Now we've got the combat over here. And so you won the last round of combat.
Good.
So you have 7 attacks hitting on 3s. I am shaken, so I have 7 attacks, but I'm hitting on 5s.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got 7 attacks hitting on 3s, and you're tough fighters, so you can re-roll one. 4. Okay, I'm hitting on 5s. 2. Okay, so you need 2 saves of 3 because Cover. It's you defending, yeah. 1 casualty. What do I need? 4. So 2 dead, so I've lost by 2. So I'm taking a break test 2d6 minus 2.
It's not just minus 1 because of the...
No, I lost by 2. Oh no, I lost by 1. You're right. Sorry, yeah, 2d6 minus 1. They're fine. They're not going anywhere. Right. Okay, so they're not going anywhere. Basically, you've got to get through the next turn and hope we roll for a turn 7, in which case that will be destroyed because the commander doesn't count as a unit. That unless you kill me in my next turn and we roll for a turn 7, you're not going to get that objective.
No, because I need to hold it at the end of...
Yeah, it has to be at the start of your turn. You've got to be the only thing. You're not going to be in combat. So, all right, okay. Right then, Seljuk Turks. So, what's happened? Nothing's really happened in here apart from these guys finally managed to stop being disordered and I moved my general away from them. I know that's going to probably... It's all going to come down to whether or not at the end of his turn we're going to roll. If it goes into a turn 7, then Robin's going to get that objective. So it's going to be quite tight. Over here is really where the only stuff happened. I took an initiative move to move my light cavalry back, and I'm going to shoot at these guys. These guys, because they're in open order, their frontage extends the whole way around the unit, so they can shoot at them. They're not going to be restricted to just shooting in front of them. So we might as well get on with the shooting. The guys at front are going to shoot at the front, so it's going to be 3 dice hitting on 5s because you are formed heavy infantry.
You're not over 12, are you?
No, I measured, so I was within. No hits. The guys behind, now, you don't get the +1 bonus, so I'm hitting on 4s. Yep. There is no point blank range in this, like black powder. So 2 dice hitting on 4s. I don't believe it. So it's just hand-to-hand combat. So you have, again, got 7 dice hitting on 3s, because you won the last round. I have 7 dice hitting on 5s. So hitting on 5s for me. Oh dear. Oh dear. And you got tough fighter. It was 5.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 saves of 4. That's 4 dead. That's so. I'm not going to put the case. There's 2. Remember, these guys aren't supported, and he isn't in. So it's 2d6 minus 4. Robin really needs me to fail this because remember, if it's, and then he needs to get the turn to carry on.
Even
so
the extra point.
Let's see. So 6 on the hand-to-hand combat is give ground in good order with supports. There is no support. So basically these guys are going to be, because they can't go into there because that's where they are, so they're going to be exiting that zone and they're going to be over here. So he's seen them off, they're shaken, they are bedraggled, and that means that he is in sole charge of that. So if he can get, we roll a 4, 5 or 6 in a minute, that means he owns that at the start of his turn. They've just taken those supplies and they've poisoned the well. So let's just move things around and then we'll do it. So here's the state of the battlefield at the minute. The Crusaders are in the village and pillaging, but they haven't necessarily. But they might be running out of time as the more Seljuk horsemen appear. So they're going to have to retreat. How much time have they got? Robin, do you want to roll the turn dice? So 4, 5 or 6. We're going into a turn 7. Oh no, unlucky. So no, that is it. They that's the end of the battle. So Robin just couldn't quite get in there quite quick enough. But there are shaken and destroyed units on the battlefield, and we'll work out the degree of success, and then we'll show you the little aftermath system that we have got for our game. But yeah, let's go away, we'll total everything up, and we'll come back to you. Okay, so we've worked it out. So the Seljuk forces under Alp Baradir got still those objectives weren't destroyed, so it's 3, 6, 9, and they routed 1 unit off the board for 2. There are no shaken units, so I finished on 11 points. Robin didn't, unfortunately, even though he was close, destroy or capture any of the objectives. He did destroy 2 of my units for 4 points, and I have a shaken unit here for 5. So the Seljuks have won by 6 points, and in our little scenarios that we have, it designates what's needed for a minor victory, a major victory. A difference of 1 to 5 points was considered a minor victory, and 6 or more was major. The Seljuk forces are now coming to support here. The Crusaders are having to beat a hasty retreat back to the besieging forces at Nicea, and haven't been able to secure any supplies to assist in the siege. So this is a Seljuk victory. We'll be rolling on the aftermath table for all the forces involved shortly. But Robin, what do you think about it? How do you think it played out in terms of of it being the first part in our campaign?
Yeah, obviously I would like to have won the first game, but also just not getting stuff on at the start hampered me so much, because I need to get in there. And but if it was a one-off game and I went, oh, that's a major loss, I'd probably look at the table and think, how? But from a strategic point of view, I guess if you've allocated 2/3 of your army to go and do something, and it's defended by 1/3 of the enemy army, and you fail, that's probably a major operational or strategic defeat, isn't
when
it?
You're looking at resources. When you put it like that, yeah, it is, and that's the thing.
So in the context of the campaign, it's definitely a major failure, even if it's not a defeat.
So, and that's the thing, and we've got to decide in scenarios where to put a cut-off, and we always generally do 6 turns and then roll for a 7th. Or is there's an argument going to do 7, but then why not roll for an 8th?
Yeah, how long do you give it?
I think, even by this point, essentially, Alp Bahadir here has held the village long enough that reinforcements that have been sent by Killage Arsenal are on the way, and the Crusaders don't want to hang around. Even though they have killed a large amount of the enemy, his objective is really just to hold you up and stop you doing things. But how do you think it worked with the army list? Because obviously we've tinkered with them.
Yeah, I think again. There we go. It's so asymmetrical. It's really asymmetrical, but not in the sense of elite units versus hordes of things. It's just, I still can't figure out how you deal, apart from smashing them with heavy cavalry.
Yeah, that was
how you deal with horse archers versus infantry, other than just kind of take the approach of, I've got heavy armour and shield, so I'm just going to ignore you.
You almost just have to commit someone to just being there to see them
stand there and get shot just to stop them.
I think your tactic over here of blocking the way worked really, really well, because I was stuck and I couldn't get around. So what I would like to have done is be riding around behind you, just crisscrossing and putting.
I brought 1 unit on for the first turn.
Yeah, that was
2
unfortunate.
units in the first 2 turns. So I think, again, if it comes down to, if I'd rolled 1 more unit or got 1 extra order off, it'd have been different. Then I guess it's
but then that's
fairly close. That's a fairly close.
I thought I liked it. I also like the I like the board. I think we've done all right. So what we're going to do, we have a little aftermath to go through for everybody, just to see how much their division has suffered or anything like that before the next time it fights. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make a bit of room. We'll crack the aftermath table out and then show you how that works. Okay, so here is our aftermath table, and it's quite simple. Every commander who was involved in the battle in his division rolls on this table, and there are some modifiers here: minor victory, minor defeat, major victory, draw, commander kill, commander win. You apply those modifiers, and then you basically check the description down here to see what has happened. And this is just a way of us applying losses overall to the division going into the next round of the campaign. So as you can see on here, there's things like a slaughter, or a unit is winded or something like that. It's only possible to get the really bad ones or the really good ones if you have suffered essentially major victories or major defeats. On the face of it, Robin has suffered a major defeat because of the difference in victory points. So Robin is going to have a -2 to his roll. I have got a +2 to my roll because it's a major victory. So, do you want me to roll first? Or? Yeah. So, this is for Alp Bahadir. He got a 6. +2 is an 8, so he is a sight to behold. The commander of the division has proven himself able and brave commander. One unit can be designated as elite. If the commander already has this ability, then he receives +1 strategy rating or +1 command rating. So he's now got the ability to upgrade one of his units to elite for the next game. So which is kind of narratively quite good, you know, and it will probably be. Let's face it, I would say those crossbows is probably going to be the levy. Yeah. To be fair, I don't think you can make levy elite.
Would you just take away the levy rule?
I don't know, that sucks. That's like a waste.
Because that's the...
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So I'll mark that on his character card, and in the next game in which he's in, one of his units can be marked as elite. So now it's for Robin. So first of all, we roll. Which guy do you want to do first?
So let's go for William de Morbier. So
William de Morbier, okay. So as you'd have seen, just before he rolls this, if I'd have rolled low, I could still have lost some force points for that. So Robin is suffering a -2 to his roll.
This is obviously very differing.
Oh, 6. -2. Light losses. The division suffers a few losses either due to casualties or desertion. Suffer -1 force point.
Okay.
So that's not so bad. He's and then so which one was that?
That was Tim Nice.
Oh, okay, that was that guy there. Okay.
The Boucheron.
Okay, and the big guy 4 -2 heavy losses. He suffers 2 force points. I don't think that's as bad as it could have been.
It could have been a lot worse.
You know, but that's it. So as they're retreating back to Nicea, Killer Jarson's riders are just chasing them down and seeing them off the battlefield. So what will happen now is we apply those to their character cards, and the next time they come to fight, they take effect. Now, the special victory condition for this scenario was that in the consolidation phase, which will come after we play the next battle, I can re-roll my results, and that's where players can actually recruit a little bit more, try and get their force points up, or try and get some backing for their commander. So I get to apply that result. So the Seljuks have taken this land, but there is still another game to play. The next one is going to be the switch. I am going to be attempting to take an outpost, and Robin is going to be trying to relieve it. So we'll have that very, very soon. Otherwise, that'll be it for now. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's nice to actually get the campaign going at last. If you've got any questions, leave them below. As I say, the army link to the army list is down below. And then once we've played this first phase of the campaign, we'll tweak a couple of things. We'll pop up those rules and the maps as well, I guess. So in the meantime, we will see you guys all in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.